Okay, welcome to a little segment I'm calling Direct in Direction. My name is Kyle LaPointe. I'm a co-host on the fun Dynasty podcast called Dynasty Self Help. We help you analyze your fantasy football teams, your game, and yourself in an effort to provide you a more rich and fun hobby experience. Today, I'm going to examine 10 different key aspects of your fantasy football team and follow that up with a question. Please keep in mind that I'm going to be very direct, to the point, and brutally honest, and the questions are not going to be necessarily that easy to answer. Is that okay?
That's sweet, mate.
All right. So before we get into the meat of this potato, I'd like to ask you a few things about you. What's your name in real life?
Zach.
All right, Zach.
Most people call me Big Zacko.
All right, Big Zacko. So in Shark Tank 2, we all have nicknames, and we're all based off of No Guts, No Glory, Daredevils. And what is your chosen name and why?
The Robbie Maddisons. Robbie Maddison's a Australian BMX motocross stuntman daredevil. So
nice. Well, that fits pretty good.
He's been around a long time here in Australia, and I think he might actually be an Olympic gold medalist as well in like BMX or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty good. Good choice, apropos. All right. So do you do any podcasts, any writing, anything like that? I know some of the other folks did that in this league.
Well, I've been part of a podcast here in Australia called Bats and Balls podcast. Me and a couple of mates put it together, and I started as a guest host, and then I became the apprentice. So I became
Nice.
a regular on the show. Basically, the premise of the show is a bunch of mates hanging around, drinking beer, talking sport. So we talk mostly Australian sports, which is rugby league, AFL. But then, in the summer months, we talk NFL and the like. And that's all my cup of tea. I do the NFL and horse racing and things like that. But life has sort of been a bit busy of the last year and so it's probably been about a year since I've been on that podcast, but I'm a regular special guest, and we have a bit of fun.
Well, that's fantastic. So everybody check that one out. So we talked about it earlier, but whereabouts you live in this world?
So I live on the outskirts of Sydney in a little suburb called Bringelly. We've got 5 acres here, a couple of, you'll see, that's Daisy there behind me, and my trusty blue dog.
Awesome.
So I'm about 50 k's, or I think you guys call them miles, about 30 miles outside of the city centre.
Nice. All right. So I'm a beer guy. I brew beer. I like beer. What is your favorite style of beer?
I'm a big fan of ales.
All right.
So I drink a lot. My standard drink is Cooper's Pale Ale.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not drinking my mate Pie's homebrew, but so mostly ales.
Nice.
I don't mind an IPA. I don't mind a red ale, but
Drinking right now. This is a extra special bitter by Funky Picnic in downtown Fort Worth. So with everything shut down, we were able to go buy beer from these breweries, but you can't necessarily go inside anymore. So we're trying to support them by buying stuff out the door. But yeah, Funky Picnic made an awesome ESB. So extra special bitter, perfect ale.
that sounds nice. They changed the rules here in Australia, changed the laws here in Australia, so people could actually get takeaway of any variety of drink, which was amazing. So all things going on to go, no, everyone can still get their grog.
Yep, that's good. All right, so final intro question. What is your favorite thing about fantasy hockey?
Fantasy hockey. Fantasy hockey I've never played. Actually, I might have played once. I used to play hockey on the PlayStation when I was younger, but I don't really have a lot of time to follow hockey anymore.
Fantasy hockey.
I used to follow the Edmonton Oilers. But
Nice. Okay. So fantasy hockey is one of those, it's not as bad as fantasy baseball, but it takes every day looking. It's a lot tougher than fantasy football. Fantasy football, you can set it once a week if you really want, kind of walk away. Some of these other ones, basketball, baseball, hockey, they're pretty brutal.
I've tried it. I was in a baseball league. Only a friend of mine, some of the guys we've met on the podcast from the US and Canada were they were more into the baseball, and I joined one. And I just auto-drafted, and I ended up coming second.
Nice.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, I had the same experience, and then I really wanted to win so I could claim victory and never play it again, but I couldn't claim victory, but I still never played it again.
Yeah.
Halfway successful. All right, so now it's time for the hard-hitting analysis and drama-laden questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Okay, question number 1. Geno Atkins has been playing in the NFL since before my 9-year-old daughter was born. His skill mixed with advanced age should make him a prime candidate for roster cut. What is the name of the youngest defensive player on your roster?
What is the name of the youngest defensive player on my roster? It'd be Adoree Jackson.
Perfect. Nice. Okay, so I looked over your defensive ends, and I can honestly say I see nothing bad about any of those players, namely because there are none. If you were a Canadian rock band that decided to become an NFL player, what position would you play?
If I was a Canadian rock band that decided to become an NFL player, what position would I play? Being Canadian, they're a bit thick and they're slow, but they're very polite. So they probably play kicker. So if I was a Canadian rock band, I'd be a kicker.
Let's see. Yeah, so the answer is Nickelback. They have a band in Canada called Nickelback, so I think that they should play the position of Nickelback. So, right. Number 3, Matt Ryan is the only quarterback on your roster that is currently employed by an NFL team. His nickname is Matty Ice because his blood is ice cold under pressure. David Bowie sang the song Under Pressure, released in 1981. Who ripped off the main chord progression for a future hit song in 1989?
No idea.
That is Vanilla Ice. Ice Ice Baby.
Ice Baby.
Yeah, pretty brutal, man. It's killer that he did that, but good song in its own right. So, all right, question number 4. Tight ends in this format may become rare and tough to acquire via trade. You have invested heavily in Will Disley, but recently his team showed life in Hollister and also signed a veteran tight end. What is the name of the veteran tight end recently signed in Pittsburgh?
The veteran tight end in Pittsburgh was Eric Ebron.
All right, nice. Okay, so you seem to have a strategy for ignoring the need for 11 starters on defense. This could be tough given the requirement to start 22 players. If you were given a chance to reset at the start of the auction, what would your favorite Billy Joel song be?
My favorite Billy Joel song is... I actually listened to a lot of his stuff when I was younger. Probably Uptown Girl.
Good one. Yeah, that works. I'll accept that. All right, you spent over 50% of your startup budget on a combination of 6 different running backs from 6 different NFL teams. NFL teams rarely run triple options, but have recently begun to embrace the use of run-pass option, or RPO. How many of the running backs on your team have a first or last name that starts with the letter J?
1.
The answer is 4.
4
running backs.
I've got Josh Jacobs. Who else do I have?
You got Jacobs.
I can't remember.
You've got Aaron Jones. You've got Ronald Jones.
Aaron Jones. That's right.
Yep.
And Ronald Jones. And who else do I have?
James White would be the fourth
James
one.
White.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
All right. So over 55% of your players are running backs. Some of them are actually good. You must have a strategy for selecting running backs to overpay for. So please tell me, what city is famous for the running of the bulls?
That'd be Pamplona.
Nice, in Spain, right? Pamplona. Jarvis Landry seemed to pop up this past year as the offense in Cleveland floundered and sputtered. It is possible that his role decreases with more added intermediate and short pass weapons. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. is on the trade block rumor. Orange and brown look terrible together, but orange and vodka make what drink?
Orange and vodka make a screwdriver, I think they call it here.
Perfect. All right. You spent $302.22 on Aaron Jones. He shows some amazing flashes, and during the 2019 season especially, and may be a force again in Green Bay in 2020. Much like the running back committee in Green Bay, sheep are herd animals. What is the term for the lead sheep in the flock?
Trump.
That is bellwether. Bellwether.
Oh, right.
Like a bell cow. It's a bellwether. So.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's a new phrase I want to go ahead and coin. If you've got a running back by committee, then you don't really have a bell cow. You have a bellwether. You have the lead running back in the committee. So, all right. You have $1 of startup money remaining from your $2,000 startup budget. The American dollar is currently worth $1.62 Australian. I'm in America, so my Shark Tank money is worth more. Would you accept a trade of $1.50 of my Shark Bucks for $1.50 of your Shark Bucks?
I don't have $1.50 Shark Bucks to spend.
That is the correct answer. Yes, you could not accept that trade because you don't have $1.50 to spend. All right. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you answering these questions very well. You did really well. I'm going to go back and look at this. You got one right. You got 2, 3. Missed that one. You got Billy Joel right. Eric Ebron right. Dory Jackson. I think that's 6 questions you got right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Most of the football ones, most of the ones about my team I got wrong.
Right.